Signing day, the biggest day of the year in recruiting. It's the day when high school football players across the country sign a national letter of intent, ending months, if not years, of being chased by college football recruits. Here in South Florida, where some of the best players in the country live, it's one of the busiest days of the year. Fax machines and high schools across Dade and Broward County are kept busy as student athletes and parents celebrate their big moment by dressing up, putting on team hats, and announcing their future destinations. I'm Manny Navarro, and I'm joined by Fernandez here on the Gridiron Report. Dre, National Signing Day, huge day, obviously here in South Florida. Big storylines. What did you enjoy most about today?
Well, a lot of big storylines. I mean, one of them obviously was at Booker T. Washington, where defensive tackle Okino Watson was coming down to either going to Miami or Louisville, Florida, South Florida. Well, it turns out he pulled the switch on everybody. He pulled out a UM cap, showed it to the crowd in attendance, and then all of a sudden his little sister ran up on stage, handed him another hat. It was USF, so he's headed to Tampa. He was the last big undecided kid left in Miami out of the top kids, and also Central with a massive recruiting class, of a good over 15 guys going to all sorts of schools, going to places like Cincinnati, UCF. I mean, they have guys that are already gone, like Devontae Freeman's up in Tallahassee already at Florida State, Thomas Finney's at Miami. Probably the biggest group they've had probably forever, and fitting for a team that broke through this year and won a state championship.
And Broward County, I was up visiting a couple different schools over there. Of course, the big story, Kent Tureen, the linebacker from Boyd Anderson, decommits from USC. He ends up switching to Georgia today. And then up at Northeast High at noon, all Hurricanes fans were sort of nervously waiting to see what would happen with Bryant DeBose, and he ends up disappointing him. He picks Louisville, going with Clint Hurt, who's obviously done a great job down here recruiting South Florida this year, getting Teddy Bridgewater as well as a few other players from the area. So Louisville ended up being the big hit of the day, I would say, of the schools not named Florida State, Miami, or UF. All right, so obviously another big story in Broward involved Marcus Roberson, the defensive back from St. Thomas Aquinas. This is a kid, Dre, I wrote about him in today's paper. Started off committing to Texas Tech on January 18th, decommitted, picked Auburn, and then today he goes with the Gators. Big story.
Yeah, big story. I mean, he couldn't make up his mind there for a little while. And kind of surprising, though, because usually you see those St. Thomas kids, when they choose a school, that's it, they stick to it. But I guess, Roberson needed some more time to figure out, Gainesville is the place to be for him. And a good get for the Gators, who seem to have had a good day right at the last minute. Coming into the day, it didn't look like they had a lot of good local guys, but they nabbed a few late to add to guys like Jabari Gorman that they had picked up earlier on.
Yeah, the Gators really, I think most people look at the Gators and say they got the second best class in the state. How about the Seminoles, though? I mean, they really cleaned up. You look at Florida State, I mean, Arrington Jenkins down from Coral Park.
Right. Devontae Freeman's already there from Central. We mentioned him. Niall Lawrence Stample, a very good defensive lineman at Nova High School, is going there. Rashad Green, a phenomenal wide receiver that we saw most of the season. A long time he's been committed there. Just this class for FSU can kind of continue what they did this past season, which was to get back to elite status, going to a major bowl game. Jimbo Fisher, a tremendous job recruiting, and I think the rest of the state has some catching up to do after what they did today.
So Florida State will end up with one of the if not the number one class, one of the top 3 classes in the country. You look at the Hurricanes, though, not going to be in the top 30, Dre, but overall, I mean, these guys did a great job. They end up getting Jalen Grimble, a defensive tackle, one of the ESPN top 150 players from out in Las Vegas. He's sort of the big addition to the class today, but overall, he did pretty well in South Florida.
Well, if you rate Al Golden from time of hiring till now, I think he'd probably be in the top 10 to 20, even better, because he's done a good job. Kevin Grooms, was a good pickup for them. Also, of course, the kid you said from Vegas, Denzel Perriman, of course. They had him, although it looked like they had him since he was pretty much a freshman. But then, he recently he started considering some other options, UF, FSU, but he was able to convince him to stay as well. A good get for them, and obviously, something to build upon, because, once he has a full year to recruit for the 2012 class, I think they're going to do a good job.
And FIU, they're never going to be up high in the rankings, unfortunately. But you look at what Mario Cristobal did this year, Andre. I mean, he got 24 kids and pretty much stuck to the script.
Well, the thing what I would say is give them time, because I mean, like I said, it's a process. They're building right now. The bowl win was huge, I think, in terms of at least giving them a name, showing that they can recruit. And one thing Mario's done since he got there, I think, is go after kids that in the past maybe FIU thought, no, we're never going to get this guy. He doesn't accept that. He goes out and tries to get major kids. And I think, he's starting to land a few here and there.
Cedric Walker from Gulliver,
Northwestern kids, Dominic Rhymes, Clinton Taylor. You talk about other guys from around the state as well that they've been able to get. I mean, Corey Tyndall at Boyd Anderson as well, another good pickup for them. So, they've hit a few that they're getting, a few targets, some big ones this year. And then, as years go on, if they continue to succeed on the field, which you finally saw this season, I think it'll be more and more. It's a gradual process.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for our National Signing Day coverage. For Andre, I'm Manny Navarro. We'll see you next time on the Gridiron Report.